ready. I record the session now here in the computer. Okay, guys. So this week we had the first class on Tuesday, I think so. On Wednesday, I think. So it was talking about services and products that we pay all over the world, right? So no problem. Today we're gonna work in our class number 5.2. Yeah, this is the class W5.2. Okay. So this week I am going to start as usual with a very simple question. Now, I would like, let's start with Luisa. Luisa is the first time that is in class with us, so let's receive her with reading, okay? So, Luisa, could you please help me to read the question that is on the screen?
You could travel in time.
Yeah,
Equal L, no? You could travel in time. Would you go to the past or the future?
good. Thank you. So, if you, yes, there was a mistake with the travel, right? So, if you could travel in time, would you go to the past or to the future? What do you think? What would you
Oh,
prefer?
I don't know. Maybe in the past.
Why?
Why? Because maybe, oh my God, I spend more time with my mother. Yes, I like it that.
Okay, very good. My dear Lisa, if I ask you like, well, specifically, what moment on the past would you like to travel to? Specifically a
Mm,
year or
No, I just know maybe when I was a child because it's a moment when I could to share time with my mom. So I think that time is very good for me.
Mhm. Okay, perfect. That's great. Good. Excellent, Luz. Thank you so much. What about the others? My dear Sara, Majo, Daniel, Santi. Would you like to travel in time better to the past or to the future?
Teacher, I will go to the future
Mhm.
and to know the technological advances.
Good, very good. Of course, in this moment we are expecting a lot of technological changes, right? So
Hmm.
in some years you can already see a lot of different changes. Okay, thank you, Santi. Majo, what about you, my dear?
Well, I think I would like to travel to the future because I am a little bit anxious. So I wanna know if I gonna achieve all the goals that I have. And
So,
yes, I would like to see how my kids would look like.
no way. I think that you were going to go like to Hollywood to see if you were going to be there or something like that.
Yes, yes. I'm doing a casting right now on this day, so I would like to travel to the future to see if I'm gonna win it.
Of course you are. Don't worry. You're gonna do it. No worries. Okay, muy bien, Majo. Thank you so much. Danny and Peter.
I would like to travel to the past to tell myself to spend better my time. Like for example, start studying English
Before.
so much before.
Uh-huh. Okay. So stop procrastinating. You have to say, tell yourself like stop procrastinating, go to study English, right?
Yes.
Danny, specifically, would you like to go back into the past to a specific moment? I mean, on the year, no sé, in 2010, in 2001, or where specifically would you like to go? Or not, no matter.
To say, yes, maybe when I finish my school.
Okay.
Don't remember exactly when I finish it, but that would be great to travel to this time.
Mhm, mhm. Okay, very good. So that, like, wait, the moment when you finish the school, right? That's it.
Yes.
Okay, perfect, Danny. Peter, Sarah, maybe past, present, future.
Teacher, I would like to travel to the past, but not just to my past. I would like to travel to to the past and to different kind of places. If it will be great to choose the place and the time, because you could see the history that is happened in this moment, at this
One
moment.
recommendation, Peter, do not travel to Europe. Do not travel to Europe from what, 1914, I think it was,
Yeah,
until 1945. No, that
yeah,
a little
sure.
bit dangerous, no? So do not travel to.
It is a wrong decision.
Yeah, it would be a wrong decision. Okay, very good, of course. So maybe you would like to travel the Renaissance, like all those different stages or eras in the human history, right?
Yeah, right, teacher.
Good, excellent. That's great. And my dear Sarita, anything? Future, past?
Me, no, I want to go to the future because I would like to know all my family and all my people around what they do or what they're gonna do, and I want to see my son what he's gonna make, what he's gonna be when he grows up.
Okay.
And all the technology and all the stuff that the future have.
Of course, of course. Okay, good, excellent. So you have a lot of things to see in the future. Your son, I mean, do you have a son already, or is a future son? Do you already have a son, or it's a son for the future?
No, my son, I already have a son.
Ah, you already have a son. Okay, so how old is he in this moment? Right now, how old is he?
He's 11.
Oh my God, he's already like a big boy. Okay. My God.
Yes,
Okay.
but he wants to be a good soccer soccer player. So maybe he will be in Europe playing soccer. I don't know.
Fingers
Maybe.
crossed.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. Okay, good.
Yes.
But well, I think that first he has to pass over Nacional, and then let's see if he plays on.
Yeah, First
Oh.
Nacional, of course.
Muy good, Sarita. Excellent. Bueno, guys, so in this case, today's class is going to be super simple because we pretend to talk about these two stages, our past and our future. But in both cases, we are going to talk about these two different topics from different perspectives. Ready? From the past, we already talked about how is the past simple, the past continuous, the present perfect. We already have seen all of these topics. We already know that we can use the did, that we can use the was, the were, all of that. All of that, it's already clear for you. You know that we have to use the did for the past simple, was were for the verb to be, or was were plus the verb in ing, you know? So different kinds of past that we have. But we haven't spoken yet about the time expressions that we can use for those past expressions, no? For example, here, I told like Peter, like, hey, Peter, do not travel to Europe from 1914 to 1945. And these are expressions of time or time prepositions, which we are going to use specifically for different situations in the past. Let's see which ones are those, because using the past might be easy. We know already the grammar, but the time expressions are also very important in order to describe correctly the sentences that we want to describe. That's why I was asking you, like, okay, in which period of time would you like to travel to? Because I would like to know if it's in a specific moment or some time ago, like you said, like, teacher, I don't remember exactly when I graduated, but it was like 17 years ago. You know, specifically, we don't know specifically the year, but we know around the time that passed. So in this case, we're going to have these time prepositions, which we can find here in this table, right, in this chart, and they're going to come in couples, no? So trying to use different expressions for different uses in the past, Okay, so let's start talking in couples and let's see if you have any questions on any of them, right? Sorry, the first couple is gonna be in and during, right? In this case, well, in both cases, both are going to describe years and decades. You know, years, decades, millenniums, centennials, right? Decades, centuries, all of that, right? The idea is basically the same. Basically, we could use one or the other, but there is a little difference on the both of them. When we use in, is because it's an action that happened specifically in one moment, while when we use during, is an expression that happened for some longer time, right? For example, I visited the Oxford University. You know, I visited the Oxford University in no sé, I think it was in the 2010. Yes, in 2010. I'm using in because it's an action that I did only once, no? So I visited the Oxford University just once in 2010. Yeah, but I'm using a year, so that's why I'm using the preposition in. Different if I say, for example, I live in you know, like in Boston, I lived in wherever, no, like in England. Yeah, here, of course, I can also say in, but as living, it's a longer action. It's better to use the preposition during, right? Because it's not only one specific time, but it's an action that I did during some time, right? So I live in England during 2010, right? Again, it's going to be the same year, but since the action is different, then the preposition might be changed, right? Of course, I can say in, and it's going to be correct. I can say like, I know I live in England in 2010. But as I told you, since it is a longer action, it would be better to use during instead of in, right? Another one, I don't know, talking about history, right? So for example, we could say that Hitler committed suicide in what year? Do you remember? In what year Hitler committed suicide? Do you remember?
1945.
1945, very good. So Hitler committed suicide in 1945, right? But that's committing suicide is a short action. He was one day alive, the next day he was dead. End of the story. Yes, he committed suicide that way. But if I want to talk about an action that was long, of course, using during, I would say, for example, that Hitler governed Germany. Well, actually half of Europe, but let's focus on Germany. Hitler governed Germany during the 40s, right? Of course, it was a decade from like actually it was from the 39 to the 45, something like that, more or less. So in that case, I would say during. I can also say a year, no? During 1943 would be, no? But actually it was a decade, yes? Or I can say also, for example, this one in the 40s. Not specifically when, but I know that it was in the 40s. Might be, right? So both actions, both expressions, sorry, in and during are going to help me to describe actions that and like time, specifically years and decades, but with a difference that it's when the action is long, I use during, and when the action is something more precise, more exact, it's going to be within. Now, if I use the other one, it's not incorrect. I mean, I could say, for example, Hitler governed Germany in the 40s, and it's all right. Yes, I mean, that is not a mistake. It's just like it's more precise, it's more accurate if we use the correct time expression. Ready? Sarah, question, my dear.
Teacher, when you use in, you have to put the 2010.
No, that was like,
Oh.
the preposition, the article sometimes is used, sometimes it's not. Not obviously not
Okay.
mandatory, it's Optional to.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, my dear, no problem. Okay, good. Any other questions, difficulties, problems, guys? With these two expressions, no worry. In and during. No, that's it. Good. Okay, guys. Guys, question number one. When did you graduate? When did you graduate from high school? When did you graduate from high school? Guys, when did you graduate from high school?
Teacher me.
Go ahead.
I graduated in to my high school in 2005.
Okay, very good. You could say 2005. It's all right. And also you can use 2005. You know, this one
Okay.
rated like O. Okay. 2005 or 2005. That's all right. Good.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Sarita, good. Okay, I graduated in 2000 or 2009 or 2009 in my case. What about you guys?
I graduated from high school into 2009.
Wait, 2009 in the same year than me.
Yes.
Oh, good, excellent. No, that's it. Very good. Okay. Okay. Now, question number two, which is actually basically the same, but from a different perspective. When did you study your senior year? You know, senior year, it's like the last year of high school. So when did you study your senior year?
I started my senior year during 2015.
Exactly,
15 years.
very good. Muy bien. So during 2015, now due to that, this is a longer action, no? Study the senior year, it's something that happened all the year, no? So not only one moment. Thank you, Majo. Muy bien, that's it. Ready? Bueno, so basically that's the first couple of expressions that we have, but we have a lot, so we're going to continue, and I continue making questions with the other expressions. Ready? Bueno, that was the first one. It's for specific moments in the past, right? Specific dates, okay? Now, when we have a complete date, you know, we're going to have the preposition on. This one is different because this one is going to be the complete date. You know that when we use the complete date, it's month plus day plus year. For example, I was born on August 13, yes, 1992. Is all the complete date. So in that case, I'm going to use the preposition on for describing all the complete date. Ready? That one is easy. Bueno, guys, now we're going to talk about the expression ago. What is the meaning of ago? Do you remember? Any ideas?
For example, to say time back. Mm,
Exactly.
Tiempo
Well,
atrás.
exactly. Like in general, in Spanish, the literal translation is hace, you know, ago, hace. It's going to be an expression that determines how much time has passed from the present. This is the present. How much time has passed from the present until the moment of the action. No? How much time it's from here until here. Determine, of course, in time units, years, days, hours, a month, no sé, time, and a time units, right? In this case, you know that ago is an expression that goes always at the end of the sentence. So the time expressions are going to be before them, right? So it's going to be the year or the day or the time unit. In general, the time it's before, right? For example, if For example, Lisa and me, we graduated in 2019. Yeah. We are right now in 2023. It means that we graduated how much time ago?
40 years ago.
40 years ago? No, come on, como que 40 years ago.
14.
Jovica no soy tan viejo, come on, 14 years ago, right? Very good, excellent. So we graduated 14 years ago, right? Perfect, that's it. So in that case, ago is going to express how much time, the quantity of time that has passed from the present until that moment in the past. Ready? Always is until the present, right? The measurement is always from that moment until the present, right? We started in 2000, well, this is 2023. We are in June, no, May, finishing May, the last days of May. Ready? Back in time, in April 2023, we started our course. So we could say, for example, that we started this course when?
1 month ago.
More or less, right? Around 1 month ago. Yes. Muy bien, very good. So in that case, it's simply talking about how much time has transferred from that moment until the present. Always until the present, right? It's super simple. A similar expression, it's going to be the expression last. What is the meaning of last?
Último.
Yeah, the last is the previous one, right? So in that case, when we talk about last, it's going to make a reference to a specific point, right? And it goes, of course, to the back in time, but to a specific point. In that case, I don't have a time unit, but I have a specific moment in the past. Last month, last weekend, last December, last Christmas, last Halloween, last year, last weekend, so on, so on, no? So it's a specific moment to describe, okay, the action happened last decade. The action happened last April, right? It's similar, but not that much, because in this case, I'm talking about time unit. In this case, I'm talking on a specific point in the past, ready? Which is, of course, completely different, ready? Guys, wait a second. Question. Wait, let me just erase this part. When did you go out to a restaurant last time, or for the last time? When was the last time that you visited a restaurant, that you went to eat to a restaurant?
I went to a restaurant in last weekend.
Not just last weekend. That's it. Last weekend. Excellent. Perfect. So I went to a restaurant last weekend. Good. Perfect. Okay. Anybody else?
Last night.
Yesterday night.
Okay, good. So Santi and Majo, yesterday at night. Oh, last night. Could be. No problem. Both actions are all right. Good. Peter?
I went to a restaurant 2 weeks ago.
Perfect. So in that case, I cannot say last 2 weekends. That there, in that case, when it's not specifically the last one, I can go and use ago, right? So I went to a restaurant 2 weekends ago. That's it. Perfect. Right? So these two expressions are a little bit more complementary in order to describe short actions in the past, and depending if I want to describe the quantity of time or if I want to describe specifically the moment when I did it. Okay, perfect. That's great. Bueno, my dear people, let me erase this part. That's it. Good. Okay, now we're gonna continue with two expressions, right? Wait, let me remember which are, because I'm not sure. Oh, well, good, yes. Two expressions that actually we already saw, which are always together. From and to. Ready? In this case, both expressions are going to introduce a period of time that an action had in the past. Of course, has to be a longer action in the past, which, for example, we said live, study, work, or any progressive actions, which is lasted for some time. Then I can do it, I can describe it, describing using from, which is the beginning of the action, no, the action when the moment when the action began, and to, which is the moment when the action finished, right? I use these symbols not to symbolize like when the action started and when the action died, but it's going to be the moment when the action began and when the action finished in the past. For example, I studied in the National University from 2010 to 2014, right? From one moment, the moment when the action began, to the moment when the action finished, right? Usually they can have like specific moments of time, right? This year, this day, this moment, this month, no? For example, from January 2010 to December 2014, to be more specific, yeah? More specific, from January 28, 2010 to December 14, 2014, right? If I want to be more specific. So the idea when I use from and to, it's to describe the moment when the action began and the moment when the action finished. Questions on that part?
No.
No? Was good. Great. Guys, when was your last trip? When was your last trip? How much did it last? How much did it last? You know, last is el verbo durar, no? So how much did it last? Think on your last trip, last vacations, last time you went to USA, last time you went to Bogota, if you are not from here, last time you went to Medellin, to Cartagena. When was it? How much did it last? Yes. So, for example, the last time I traveled, I was in Mexico City from November of 2022 to December of the same year, no? Of course, 2022, right?
I was in there at the same time.
No way, seriously?
Yes.
You see, Majo? Dude, Mexico City is a great city, but it's so big that anyway, it's impossible to meet each other, no? So, okay, good. What else? Anybody else who can tell me when was the last trip? How much did it last?
Me. I was in Cartagena from January 2022. No, January 10, 2022 to January 20, 2022.
10 days in Cartagena? Great.
Yeah.
I like. Okay, Sarita, thank you so much. Good, excellent. Anybody else? Danny?
I was in Santander in December during 1 week.
Okay, very good. So he could say no. He was in Santander in December, you know, during 1 week, right? So it's all right. Very perfect. That's it. Bueno, the second question was how much did it last? No, like it means cuánto duró. In this case, I can do it. I can describe that lasting, you know, that period using this, like from to. But I can also say, for example, the quantity of time that the action lasted. In that case, we're going to have the other expression, which is the preposition for, right? For, it's pretty special because it's going to be working with simple past, but also with present perfect. for describing the period of time that the action has had or that the action had if it's finished. It's actually similar to ago. The difference is that ago, all, sorry, ago always goes from the moment until the present. But for no, for can describe a period that started in the past and finished in the past. For example, here, I studied in the university for how much is from here until here? 4 years. So in that case, for 4 years, right? Or instead of saying from November 2022 to December 2022, I can say simply I was in Mexico City for 3 weeks, right? And a specific period of time with the difference from ago that it doesn't have to come into the present. Ago does. With for no, with for I can describe a period of time that started in the past and finished equally in the past. Also, I can talk about an action that has happened from the past until the present. For example, I have worked. Notice that in that case, I use present perfect because it started in the past and continues until now. I have worked in Smart for, for 8 years and a half. For 8 years and a half. Yeah. So again, I'm describing a period of time. Now that in that case, it comes from the past, 2015 until now, right? So I have worked in Smart for 8 years and a half. Ready? So the expression for it's special because it can work with present perfect or with simple past for describing a period of time and the quantity of time that has happened from the beginning until the end of that period. Questions about that part? Questions, difficulties, or problems? So far? No, all fine.
No, no questions.
No questions. Muy bien. Very good. Excellent. Thanks a lot. Wait, the final expression is the couple of four. The couple of four that you have already seen is the expression since. Careful, it's not signs, it's since. Anybody knows what is the meaning of since?
Desde.
Desde, very good. So in that case, it's going to tell me an expression. Usually is used with present perfect, right? Because it's an activity that started in the past, and since that moment, the activity has happened or has been happening, no? For example, guys, we have had classes since April 17th, no? Or we have studied English, or we have been studying English since the last month, no? Since April 17th, right? Or, for example, question, Maho, how long have you been acting in the soap opera, in the Medallista soap opera? How long?
How long is the TV show on air or what?
Well, yeah, okay, let's say how long, because it's still on the air. It's still on the air, right?
What?
It is still on the air.
No, it finished like 1 week ago.
Oh my God. So let's say another one. In the other way, in the other job, you continue on the TV host.
Yes, yes.
Right. How long have you been doing that?
I've been doing the show like for since 2020, 2020 or 21.
Okay,
Like
very good.
the end of 2020.
Okay, perfect. That's it. As you notice, for example, Maria Jose was going to use for, and it is valid because actually that's why I said that they are couples, because they are used for the same expression, talking about an activity that started in the past and continues into the present. The difference is that when I use for, I'm going to describe the quantity of time. So she was going to say for 3 years, more or less, or for 2 years, more or less, right? But when I use since, it's the same idea, but commenting the moment when the action started. I have been working on the show since the end of 2020. Ready? Good. Lisa, where do you live? Do you live in Bogota, in Cartagena, in Medellin?
I lived in Bogota.
In Bogota. In what place of Bogota do you live? In what neighborhood?
Cedritos.
Cedritos, good. How long have you been living in Cedritos?
I have lived in Cerritos for 3 years.
Exactly. So the same, she said like for 3 years, but also she could say since 2020. Yeah, 2020, 21, more or less.
Yes, 21.
21, exactly. So since 2021, right? So guys, basically the idea of this first part, it was talking about all different kind of expressions that we have for talking about the past. The past is simple, no? You know, we have simple past, present perfect, past continuous, past perfect, cha-cha-cha, easy ways to use it. But depending on the intention that we have or depending on the emphasis that we want to give, it's going to be better to use one expression or the other. Ready? So we have in, during, on, ago, last, from, to, for, and since. Ready? All of those time expressions are going to help me to introduce the time in my stories, in my summaries, in my anecdotes. All of them are going to help me for that. Ready? Well, now the other way, in this hand, we have our past, right? On the other hand, we were manipulating our future, right? When we talk about our future, we are not going to focus on so much on the time expressions, but then this time we are going to focus on the different kinds of future that we have, right? Guys, think on the predictions that we have for the future. Yeah, you know, so we said, what will the future hold for us? What are the predictions that you have about your future? Do you think pessimistically, optimistically? You don't want to think about the future? Tell me, how are your perspective about the future?
Teacher, I am optimistic because maybe the technology can make or will make a change with the nature and all this all the problems that we have now.
Fingers crossed again. Fingers crossed. I hope so. I hope that you are right, my dear Sarah. I hope that you are right and it will happen. Okay, very good. So Sarah is very optimistic. I like it. Good. Anybody who said like, no, teacher, we will be doomed. The world will not make it. What do you think? No opinions about the future. You're like, nah, I prefer not to give my opinion. No idea. Bueno, anyways, good. So, guys, in this case, when we talk about the future, we are going to have different ways to do it, of course, you know, depending on my intention, right? For example, Sarah said that in the future, the technology will change some of the problems that we have with the nature and, well, other different problems, right? Maybe with transportation could be, right? Guys, a specific question. Do you think that the people or that the humanity will be living on Mars or not? Or in the moon, maybe, or not?
Absolutely not.
Why not, Maho? Why not? Not the resources, not the ideal environment.
Uh, I prefer not to give my opinion about that.
If you're pessimistic, don't worry. We respect all opinions here. If you said, teacher, the humanity will end in an explosion or something like that.
No, 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 no.
Okay, my dear, no problem. Ready. Good. So in the future, we also have different kind of expressions or different kind of actions as we did for the past. Some of the actions that we describe for the future are actions that will happen in a moment and that's it. For example, the asteroid that is going to crash the planet, no? It's going to happen in 1 second and that's it. Yeah, that's the end. It's not going to take too much. Yeah. So it's going to come, it's going to explode everything, and that's it in 1 second in a specific point. Other problem is the radioactive consequence of that, that they will happen for a long time in the future. No, that process is different. Yeah. So in the future, for our predictions, we also have different kinds of expressions, right? Different kinds of intentions on my predictions, right? First, of course, we know that when we talk about future, we use will when we want to give predictions, sorry. Something that is not completely determined, something that it's only a predictions, only that it's a possibility, is not completely established, right? When we use those kind of sentences, we use will. That's super clear. Will, of course, it's a modal verb, which it means that we have will and then the verb in infinitive form, right? So always the same. It's gonna be will and then the verb in infinitive form. Or if it's negative, we use won't and again the verb in infinitive form. That's basically always the same, right? Now, this is the structure, like ideally in general, but we're going to see that we have different kinds of future depending on the time of expressions that we want to give, on the time of action that we want to predict, right? We're going to have three different kinds of future. The first one, it's going to be the future simple. Ready? Future simple is the one that we always use. It's will and the verb in the basic form, in the infinitive form, super simple. In this case, the time expressions are much less than on the past. In this case, we basically have in, right? Yes, like in, and that's it. Like could be in a quantity of years, in 20 years, for example, right? Or in and the year in the future, in 2063. Bueno, that's 30 years, but let's say 40 years, sorry. So, so it can be a specific year or can be a quantity of years in the future. Then what I want to express is that an action, as I told you with the asteroid, will happen specifically in what year, in what moment, no? So in 20 years, an asteroid will crash the planet. No sé, sometimes I am pessimistic, and sometimes I am optimistic. Let's say this one right now. So in 20 years or in the year 2053, an asteroid will crash the planet. It's gonna happen in what moment, and that's it. No, 1 day and 1 second, pa, the crash, and that's it. Right? It's an action that will happen specifically in one moment into the future. Different from that, we have the future continuous. Again, for the actions which are progressive. Actions such as work, study, live, or any action that implies a process. That's why they are called progressive, because they include or they imply a process or a progress, right? So that's why those actions are longer, right? So, for example, I ask Maria Jose, do you think that the people will be living in the moon or in Mars? So she said absolutely not. Okay, but it's a process, no? Because we are not going to live 1 second and that's it. Living is an action which is long, implies a complete process. Those kind of actions are going to tell me, are going to work in the future continuous way because they are going to tell me about a process, right? So that's why I said in 20 years, I mean here in the year 2043, shoot, 43. That's in 20 years, right? But I don't want to say that the action is going to happen there. No, the action is going to start before and the action is going to finish later. But what I mean is that by that moment, the action will be happening. Ready? So here we have another expression, which is the expression by. By, it's going to include a specific moment in the future, for example, by 2043, or with another reference, for example, by the end of the century. By the end of the century. What is the meaning of century?
Siglo.
Siglo, right? So by the end of the century, it's going to be also like an action that will be happening, no? So, but it's a specific moment in the future, but the action is not going to happen in that moment. It's going to start before that moment and it's going to finish after that moment. I just want to express that by that moment, the action will be happening. Ready? The future continuous is going to be created easily, will, plus the verb to be, always be. yeah, because it's an infinitive, so it always will be, and then the verb in ing, no? I think I consider that by, not like in 20 years more, most people will be working from home. Not everybody, of course, it's impossible, but most people will be working from home, right? Work also is a process, no? So we don't work 1 second and that's it. We work for most of our life. So that's why it's an action that can be included in the future continuous. Ready? Guys, until here with these two different futures. Questions, difficulties, is all right, is not all right.
It's okay, teacher.
It's all right, good. Danny, Peter, Luisa, Majo, Santi, yes, all right or not?
No question, teacher.
All right, teacher.
It's right, teacher.
Okay.
Okay, teacher.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. I was just needing confirmation. Good. Bueno, and finally, we have the last future. The last future is, of course, the future perfect. Ready? The future perfect, which of course it implies the auxiliary have, you know, always in infinitive have, will have, and then the verb in past participle, you know. It means that habré, habremos, or habrán, and then the verb in hado or ido. Is an activity that will have finished, yes, will have been done before the time limit. Yeah, the action is not going to happen here, and I don't want to make the measurement in that moment. What I'm setting here is a time limit in which I could say, for example, by 2043, or the new expression which is within. Anybody knows what is the meaning of within? Within, what's the meaning of that?
Entre.
Entre o dentro de, muy bien, very good. So when I say within, I want to describe the quantity of years, within 20 years, right? But when I say within, it's because the action is not going to happen in that moment, no? When I say within, it's because the action can happen in any moment from now until that moment. So the action can happen from here right now, from tomorrow, yes, until the next 20 years. That's why we don't use in, we use specifically within, or making a supposition by and then the year, right? Also, I can describe by with other moments of my life. By the time I get married, by the time I get divorced, by the time I have kids, by the time I become old, by the time I retire, right? Moments of my future that can make as a reference for talking about this limit. What I have here, this is, as I told you, a limit of time. The action is not going to happen there. The action will have finished before that time, right? I would say, for example, that within, let's change a little bit the color, wait, here, green. Within, I don't know, within 10 years, I would say. Within 10 years, I will have gotten a new apartment. I hope so. Right? When? I don't know. Could be in 3 years, could be in 5, could be in 7, could be in 8. Somewhere between the next 10 years, within the next 10 years, yes, I will have gotten my new apartment. So the future perfect is not specific exactly when it's going to happen the action, but we know that it's going to happen before the limit that we establish, right? So that's why we put as a limit, and we said that the action will have happened before that limit, not in specifically that limit. Okay? What do you think? Better? Good? More or less? With the future perfect?
It's clear, teacher. It's very clear than the platform.
I know, of course, it must be confusing with the platform. Bueno, my dear people, so already now we talk about like the things that you wanted to see in the past. I would like you to think for 1 minute, how do you see your future in, well, in the quantity of time that you prefer? For example, my dear Sarah, how do you see your kid? Majo, how do you see the casting going on? How do you see your future kids also in the future? No, Luisa, I don't know if you want to be a mom or not, or guys, Peter, Daniel, Santi. How do you see your future? What's your predictions for specifically your future? Think for a second. No, think. You can use any of the expressions, any of the futures, can be simple, can be continuous, can be perfect.
Okay, teacher. Between 10 years, I will have my own business, maybe. So I think so. I am working from that, maybe.
Good, good.
That's it. I think so. And maybe and maybe I will have bought my 2 apartments because I want 2 apartments. That's it. I think so.
Mhm. Good, very good. So in that case, in the first one, she said within within the next 20 years, right? She will have had or she will have established her own business, right? We don't know specifically when, that's it. But then she said, in 20 years, I will be working on that, or I will be living from that, like on the business that she had. Then the beginning is past perfect because it's an activity that she had finished. That is only the establishment of the business. Then the next of the activity after that is working. So that's why she used it on future continuous. No? So then after that, I will be working on of that. I will be living of that. So that's great. Listo? And also she said, I will have bought my 2 apartments, or I will have gotten my 2 apartments because I want 2 apartments. Listo, look perfect. That's it. What about the other guys? How do you see yourself?
Teacher, within 20 years, I will having a big family and a successful career.
Good, very good. Where will you be living? Where do you think that you be living?
I don't know exactly where.
It's a prediction. You can say any place. Don't worry.
USA, maybe.
Okay, good, very good, good. Okay, Santi, thank you so much. Good. What about the others?
Well, one of my biggest dreams is to become a mother. So I hope that within the next years, I can find someone to have the kids with.
Okay, very good. So, what is the time limit that you put yourself to be a mommy?
Like 30. I am 24. So I have I hope that by 20 my maths like in 6 years.
6 years would be 29, I think so.
Yes. So I hope that by 2029 I will have my kids with me.
Exactly. So in that case, she said, I will have my kids with me, which is future simple, no? Also, I will have become before a mom. Okay, so by that year, by the 2029, she says, I will have my kids. So that's something that in that moment will happen. I will have my kids, right? But if you want to say like, me habré convertido, like, before, yeah, I will have had, or I will have become a mommy, right? When specifically, we don't know.
Teacher, it
Yeah.
could be I will having my kids.
Sure, of course, because it's also a process, no?
Also? Okay.
Yes, of course. The life of your kids is gonna be also a process. So that's why also could be I will be having my
Okay.
kids, right?
Okay.
Also, for example, instead of having, you could say I will be raising. The verb raise,
Okay.
yeah, like criar. So I will be raising my kids. Another possibility, right? Mhm. Listo, Majo. Thank you so much. Any other predictions about future?
Within 5 years, I will have built my house in my farm, maybe.
Where do you want to have it, Peter?
I have a little farm in Gacheta, Cundinamarca.
Yeah, my grandma is from Gacheta, Cundinamarca. Good.
Okay,
Great.
teacher.
Excellent,
neighbor.
excellent. Yes. Good, very good. So you think that it is going to take you 5 years to build your house in the farm?
Yes, because we at this moment I am working on the drawings because I have a special design
Mm.
and we are planning with my wife the 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 economical
The
aspect
budget.
that is involved.
Yeah, the budget. Oh my God. I don't know, but I hope that within 5 years, I can contact you and you can tell me, teacher, the house is finished. You can come here. Don't worry.
Sure, teacher.
Bueno, my
We
dear
will do
Peter,
this.
the drawings must be the blueprints, which is like los planos, the blueprints, and the money, the budget, como el presupuesto, the budget involved for the construction. Ready?
Right, teacher. Thank you.
Perfect, no problem. Bueno, my dear people, anything else? Anybody else wants to participate? Give me your opinion, anything? So far, so good. Bueno, okay, guys. So the activity of the activity of today, it was pretty clear, talking about past and future, but from different perspective. Around the past, we were talking about the time expressions that we require to use in the different intentions that we have. If we want to emphasize the moment, if we want to emphasize the period of time, if we want to emphasize the decade or the year, it depends on you. Then you can use it using different, you can do it using different time expressions, right? Easy. Around the future, we were not so focused on the time expressions because they are not so many, just four time expressions, no more. But we were talking about the different ways to use the future. If it's an activity which is finished before a limit, if it's an activity that will be happening in the moment or that will happen in a specific moment, then now you can talk about future and past clearly using correctly the time expressions and also correctly the different times of sentences, right? In the activity of the checkpoint of the week number 6, late before I told you about the other part, but remember that there are two. So on the other part, it's going to be like a block, in which you describe how have changed your life. How were you before? How are you now? And how will you be in the future? It doesn't have to be too long. It doesn't require to have like 4 paragraphs. Something short in which you describe using past, present, and future a little bit a description of yourself. How have you changed? Ready? And it's going to have another part, but that's what we're going to see in the next class, which is the class number 6. Okay. It's going to be on Thursday night. Yes, Thursday night. Thursday. Yeah, Thursday the 1st. Yes, on Thursday, June the 1st at 8 p.m. is going to be the class. It's already programmed. You can already go to program it. And we're going to see a complementary part of this part. So you can finish the activity of the checkpoint of the week number 6. Okay, guys? So for the moment, have a happy weekend. Enjoy. Go to sleep if you want to sleep. Go to do whatever you want. But keep practicing on your mind all the time. You have a very good level. So keep practicing on your mind all the time so you can maintain that level. Okay? Guys, have a good weekend. Have a good Saturday. See you next week on Thursday. And that's it. Okay? Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you,
Bye.
teacher.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.